group of banks, including J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Goldman Sachs, struggling to put together a $20 billion loan to Argentina without leaving themselves on the hook to the South American country. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which is now adding that the banks are looking for some type of guarantee to make sure they're going to get their money back as part of the Trump administration's Argentina assistance package. Joining us right now, Gustavo Medeiros. He's the head of global macro research at Ashmore. Good morning to you. Lots of debate about this bailout, whether the country should be doing it, whether the banks will be able to get their money back. How do you think about it?
Well, good morning, Andrew. I think that is pretty unprecedented what we're watching right now in Argentina, where the U.S. Treasury initially committed with $20 billion of swaps and then committed partially with a program to buy back Argentinian debt. And as I understand, that's what the Argentinian authorities are trying to get done here. They're trying to get a mechanism in which they can buy back their own bonds on the secondary market at a discount to par that would allow them to reduce their indebtedness. Argentina doesn't have a fiscal sustainability problem at the moment. They have a liquidity problem. And in that kind of situation, these sort of packages are important. But,
what do you make of the larger question, though, Gustavo, about bailing out this country, whether you think that, given they're an ally of ours, the importance of supporting them in this moment? There's a view, some view that positively. Others say, the government here in the U.S. is shut down. What are we doing? I'm so curious, just sort of almost geopolitically, how you think about this before we even think about the banks themselves.
Well, in the geopolitical terms, you have to think that Latin America is going to go through important elections within the next 4 months, right? We have elections in Chile in December. In the first half of the year, next year, we have elections in Colombia and Peru, and then you have elections in Brazil. And if you look at the overarching dynamic within the region, you have center and far-left governments in power everywhere at the moment. They're all struggling, like in Bolivia last week. And in Bolivia, we had the center-right winning the elections. So there is a strong momentum for center-right and far-right candidates to actually go back to power in Latin America. And Javier Milei is the flag bearer of this kind of like the liberalism in Argentina. And I think that is really the values that he's fighting for and the reforms that he's implemented that are really worthwhile being supported here. Not so much that Argentina is such a crucial economy to the United States.
So then the question, Gustavo, becomes, though, politically, there's a bit of a backlash going on in Argentina right now about the comments that President Trump has made. Some people who are there appear to be worried about living, quote unquote, under the thumb, if you will, of the United States and the idea that this money is only on offer if he wins.
So, yeah, I was in D.C. last week for the IMF meetings. I've asked the three representatives of the U.S. Treasury what is winning this U.S. election, and none of them could tell me. One of them said, I'm still trying to figure out Argentinian politics. I said, don't worry, we're all trying to figure it out for decades. It's very hard. This is a midterm elections where you don't have the majority of seats in neither houses of parliament up for grabs. And whatever happens with the result of the election, Milei's government will need a coalition to keep on government, to keep on passing structural reforms. So it is a politically charged situation when you have a government supporting the other. But, this is politics everywhere in the world. I see the support of the United States as unprecedented. I do not think that the U.S. is taking a huge risk here to the extent that Milei is most likely going to be in power for the next 2 years. This is not a presidential election. This is a midterm election. And therefore, maintaining the fiscal austerity policy that he's implemented already, which was the hardest part, is the most important element. And therefore, the risk is not as large as people are making it up.
And then finally, on the issue of the banks themselves, is there a way to make this deal work so that the U.S. banks can actually guarantee themselves a return, or at least not to lose the money? That seems to be the issue right now, and whether they can actually go ahead with any of this.
Bankers are very creative in finding structures to kind of like guarantee the value of their loans, right? Argentina has tremendous assets in the agricultural sectors. There's a boom on energy right now in the country. The country is running was running a current account surplus last year. This year is likely to go to a small deficit. So there are mechanisms and there are assets that can be thought of in terms of like guaranteeing the situation. It's a very large transaction, so there is a huge amount of there's some creativity that will be necessary, but I don't think it's quite. I don't think it's impossible. For example, when the U.S. Bailed out the Mexico in the 1995 tequila crisis, the swaps were guaranteed by oil exports. It's slightly different here because most of the energy sector. Most of the incoming shale oil sector is private, but there are possibilities.